Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie and this is That Grim Reader. This video is going to be about my 30 books in 30 days challenge, which also doubles up as my November wrap up because that's when I read the 30 books. I'm going to just very quickly go over each book, otherwise we would be here for the rest of time. I don't physically have any of the books with me because they're in the new house. These are all books that I am unhauling, but I just needed there not to be a completely blank background. So that this video isn't 100 years long, let's get cracking. The first book I read was Dear Laura by Gemma Amor. It's about a young girl whose friend goes missing. She sees him get abducted and then she starts receiving a letter every year on her birthday from the supposed kidnapper, killer, whoever, asking more and more of her. And things, yeah, just get a bit weird. I enjoyed it. It was a good start to the month. I gave it 3 stars. It was a little novella, quick little read. If it interests you, I would recommend you give it a go. I was still feeling the spooky vibes in the beginning of November. The second book I read was Rolling in the Deep by Mira Grant, which is an alias of, it's not called an alias when it's a book, is it? A pseudonym? It's Shauna Maguire anyway. Which is about a group of mockumentary makers who go out to this part of the sea where there's supposedly mermaids and they're gonna make a fake documentary, but does it turn out that mermaids are real? Who knows? This is another novella and it's also a prequel to Into the Drowning Deep, which I do plan to read now. And I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. The third book I read is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I don't know if it's because I've read so many And Then There Were None retellings, but this one, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. Oh, in case you don't know, it is about a group of people who are invited to an island and they get trapped there and people keep dying one by one until we reach the end. It was enjoyable enough, but I think as I've read more modern versions of it, they've given me everything I need from the story. The fourth book I read was Foe by Iain Reid. This is about a couple, and one day a man shows up at their door saying that the husband has been chosen to go like colonize Mars or something. Sorry if that's wrong, but he's going somewhere to space, or he's been added to the shortlist and they'll keep checking in intermittently and let him know if he's the winner, because it was decided by lottery apparently. And it's just about them sort of dealing with this and their relationship, and there's more than meets the eye, but I don't want to say too much. I don't like it as much as I liked We Spread, but it's my second favourite Iain Reid, although it's only the second Iain Reid I've read. I watched the film of I'm Thinking of Ending Things and found it tedious, so that puts me off reading that one a little bit. Anyway, this book was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Highly recommend. The fifth book I read was The Perfect Child by Lucinda, which is about a doctor and a nurse who can't have children. One day a little girl is admitted to the hospital who looks like she's been severely abused. She's hurt, she's tiny, she's malnourished, and after a little while they end up fostering her or adopting her, and it's about their struggles to look after this child basically. It's really interesting, pretty tough to read at times, but it was good. I gave it 3.5 stars. And that was that. The sixth book I read was The Centre by Manazir Siddiqi, I think. Sorry if I get that name wrong. Which is about this language learning centre where you can go and learn a language, become fluent in it within a week, I think it is, or 10 days. And it's super exclusive, super secret, and there's more going on beneath the surface. Again, I don't want to say too much, but I found it really interesting. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars and would strongly recommend it to most people. It's Yeah, it's good. The 7th book is A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. I didn't love the first one that much, Psalm for the Wild Built. Like, it was good. I gave it 3 stars, I think. And I only really read the second one because it was short and I was doing this 30 books in 30 days thing, so short books were just what I needed. I had the audiobook and I enjoyed this one a little bit more than the first one. I got a lot more attached to Moscap, the robot. Oh, I haven't told you what it's about. It is about a tea monk called Dex and a robot called Moscap. They live in this world where humans built robots, and one day the robots just decided they don't want to be a part of this anymore. They took themselves off to the woods, and humans haven't seen a robot since. And then however many years, decades, centuries, whatever later, Dex, the tea monk, is wandering through the woods for some reason, and he bumps into Moscap. And then Moscap wants to know what humans need, and Dex and Moscap set out on a journey to find the answer to that question, basically. It's a cosy sci-fi, but I enjoyed the second one a bit more, and I don't love sci-fi generally, so maybe that's why I didn't vibe too much with this one, but it was good. Like, 3.5 stars is good. I really enjoyed it, but I won't reread it, I don't think. Number 8 was The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. This one I was reading physically a little bit each day alongside all of the other audiobooks. So it took me like a week to read this one, which I think sometimes reading a book over a longer period of time helps with the experience, maybe. For me anyway, it helps me remember a little bit more about it. It's about a woman who hears about this book of sex magic and goes to track it down, basically. That's it. There's the weird stuff going on. There's some weird sex stuff in there. I mean, not that weird, but like, I'm not a fan of smut in books generally, but I was fine with it in this situation because it was weird sex magic. It was fine. Yeah, things get a little twisty. Nothing. The way I'm explaining it doesn't sound like I liked it that much, but I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I just don't know how best to summarise it. But we follow this girl and her friend slash partner, business partner, as they hunt down this book, meeting different people who've owned it over the years and their experience. And everyone's always saying, oh, don't get it, just turn back, give up now before the book gets a hold of you. And they do not listen, they carry on. It was really interesting, it was good. Book 9 was Natural Beauty by Ling Huang. I was really disappointed by Rouge, so I thought Natural Beauty might be what I wanted Rouge to be, maybe. And it kind of was. It definitely went more down a little horror-ish route, which is what I wanted, but there still wasn't really enough of that. The horror that did happen, like the kind of, I guess, maybe body horror, it was good. Like, I enjoyed it, but there wasn't enough. But I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than I did Rouge. So I haven't told you what it's about again, good lord. It is about a woman who goes to work at this beauty clinic, and as part of her job she's told she has to have all of these weird treatments and stuff, and yeah, they're not necessarily great for you, and it goes down a path and weird stuff happens, gross stuff happens. That's it. That's all I can tell you, really. Give it a go if it sounds. If you didn't like Rouge and you want something about the beauty industry that's a little bit creepy, then give Natural Beauty a go. Oh, and I gave Natural Beauty 3.5 stars. Book 10 was People from My Neighbourhood by Hiromi Kawakami. This is a teeny tiny little short story collection with each story only being a couple of pages long. They're all interwoven and characters appear in several stories. And yeah, it's not a normal neighbourhood. There's weird stuff going on. There's a man with 2 shadows. There's 2 girls who look sort of exactly alike that have a rivalry ongoing. Things are just a little bit off. It was interesting. It was a fun time. Have I said that a lot? I bet I've said that a lot. But it was I think it was like 80 pages or something. It was a tiny little book and was perfect for this challenge. So if you're struggling to meet your Goodreads goal, maybe give it a shot. I gave it 3.5 stars. Book 11 was An Elderly Lady's Up to No Good by Helen Tursten, which is about a little old lady who lives in a flat. I think people want her to move out so that they can rent it out to someone who will pay more. She's got like a decent contract saying she can live there for super cheap for the rest of her life. And she's like 100, and she, if anyone gets in her way, she will just murder them. That's basically it. It was fun watching this little old woman just go around casually killing people, and yeah, that's it. It's another novella. It was good, and I gave it 3.5 stars. Ooh, okay, next is book number 12, which is Take It Back by Abdullah. This is one of my absolute favourite reads from this month, from this challenge, possibly from the year, which is about a young disabled girl with like facial deformities, and she's disabled, and she accuses a group of 4 Muslim boys of raping her, and it's mostly just the actual court proceedings, which I didn't think I liked courtroom dramas, but it was so interesting and tough and dark and difficult and a little bit twisty. Like, you never really knew who to believe. Like, very early on, the girl accusing the boys contradicts her story a little bit, which makes her seem a bit suspicious, but you never really know until the very end who's telling the truth, who's lying. Everyone's got something to hide, as usual in these things. So yeah, it was so good. I really want to read more books by this author. I gave it 5 stars. It was great. If you haven't read it, you should. It's a bit tough to read. Obviously, it's triggering for sexual assault scenes and all that fun stuff. And it does go into fairly detailed descriptions, I think. So yeah, be aware of that. But it was such a good book. And it wasn't a novella. It was a full-length novel, which I read in a day because I was but because I was so invested in the story. Book 13 was The Crane Husband by Kelly Barnhill. Apparently this is a retelling of The Crane Wife, which I have not read. It is about a young girl who lives with her mum, and one day she brings home a giant crane and they're in a relationship. And again, it's a bit abusive, and it's another book where you should probably look up trigger warnings, but it's told through a weird, like, vaguely fantastical lens. It was an interesting time. Another novella that I just knew I could crack out quickly for the sake of the challenge. And I gave it 3.5 stars. Again, there's a lot of 3.5 stars in this wrap up. Book 14 was Parasocial by Wendy Dalrymple, possibly. This is about a girl who's addicted to social media. She follows this one, it's not YouTube, but basically YouTube. She follows this one streamer, content creator, and likes everything she does and comments on everything, and she's convinced herself that they're friends. So when this creator is taken ill, the main character starts like a GoFundMe or whatever it's called in this universe to get her loads of money for treatment, and then she stops hearing from the friend and gets worried, so she shows up at her house and things go on from there. It was an enjoyable time, but I barely remember most of it now. It took a turn again that I didn't expect, but it was fun. I gave it 3 stars. If you think it sounds interesting, give it a go. Vaguely similar to A Touch of Jen, but not really. Like, that's the only thing I can sort of draw a parallel to out of my reading experience. It was good. It was fine. I wouldn't go out of my way to read it, but if it's already on your TBR, there's no reason not to. Book 15 was Sour Candy by Kealan Patrick Burke. This one is another novella. It's a horror novella. A man Goes into a shop, he sees a kid screaming at his mum. The mum just is basically ignoring the child. The child gives him some sour candy, and then, how much do I say? I don't want to say too much. But then their lives get intertwined. That's what I'll say. It's another weird one. It's short, it's horror, it's a good time. I gave it 4 stars. Number 16 was Magma by Thora Hjorleifsdottir, perhaps? Definitely check trigger warnings for this one if you're interested. It is about a girl in an abusive relationship, and it's told in little tiny snippets, and there's a lot of her trying to explain away his behaviour. And if you've ever been in even a slightly similar situation, it's tough to read, like recognising those behaviours and trying to convince herself that it's because he loves her and stuff. It's just a lot. It was such a good book though. I didn't love the ending. Like, it was fine, it was good, it didn't ruin it, but I don't know what I would have preferred for the ending, but it was just shy of that 5-star magic, I guess, for some reason. But it was great. I definitely recommend it if you're interested. It was a 4.5-star read for me. Book 17 is King and the Dragonflies by Kealan Calendar. I think this is YA or middle grade, I'm not sure. Definitely aimed at a younger audience than the books I typically read, but it was really good. It's about a young boy, I think he's maybe 12, who his brother has died and he's convinced he is a dragonfly. That's barely really a factor. It's about a lot more. It's about dealing with grief. It's about him and his parents and his friend who he's fallen out with because he admitted to him that he was gay, and his dead brother had said, oh, don't hang out with him, you don't want people to think you're gay too. We just follow him and his experience, and it was tough, but it was like nice. I would recommend it. I appreciate reading books about grief since losing my own mum a couple of years ago. It's a little niche of stories that I tend to lean towards now, and it was a really good one. I gave it 4 stars. Kingdom of Needle and Bone, also by Mira Grant / Shauna Maguire. This is a pandemic story, but it was written before the pandemic, so it was interesting to sort of see it through that lens. I'm not going to say very much about this one. We follow a doctor whose niece died of this flu-like virus. It might not be the flu, I can't remember. Whatever the virus is, she died of it, and we just follow her and her experience trying to keep as many people safe as she can. Because I don't have the book with me, I don't know how much is said in the synopsis, so I'm just gonna keep it very vague. But it was good. I think I'm far enough out of like lockdown to be okay reading pandemic-ish stories. It was good. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I gave it 3.5 stars. Book 19 was Mary Poppins by P.L. Travers. I didn't really have a huge interest in reading this book. It was the shortest thing that I had available to me at the time, and I was getting very burnt out by this point and just needed something that I didn't feel I needed to concentrate on that much, so I had the audiobook on. It was like 3 hours or something, and it was fine. In case you don't know, it is about a nanny called Mary Poppins who's a little bit magic, and she goes to look after 2 kids. Actually, there's 4 kids. I don't remember there being 4 kids in the movie. There's like the 2 older children, Jane and Michael, and then there's 2 little baby twins. They could have been in the movie, I don't know. It was fine. It doesn't entirely follow the plot of the movie. I mean, the movie doesn't entirely follow the plot of the book, but the vibes are similar. It was fun, but I don't remember it. Apart from, I only remember the movie. The book has left my head. So I gave it 3 stars at the time. It was fine, it was good. That's it. That is my entire thoughts and feelings on that book. For book 20, I thought I'd try a non-fiction, which didn't go amazingly. I read The End, Surviving the World Through Imagined Disasters by Katie Go, which is a book about apocalypse themed media, I guess. It was very surface level. There were 5 sections, I can't even remember what they were now. One was about like threats from aliens and stuff. The other one was about pandemic diseases and stuff. One was probably about climate change, I can't remember. It was okay. I think possibly because I studied a lot of, like I did media studies and stuff back in school, so it seemed kind of like something that I would have written for media studies class, which sounds mean. I don't mean it to be mean, but yeah, it's probably a really good introductory subject for people that are unfamiliar with like post-apocalyptic movies and media and stuff, maybe. But for me, it was a little bit dull. I only managed to read it because I knew I needed to read a book that day, and it was maybe 80 or 90 pages. It was a tiny little thing. It took me like an hour or so. Yeah, so that was a little bit disappointing. I gave it 2.5 stars. It wasn't the worst. Realistically, it's probably more like a 2, but I felt mean. So we're going with 2.5. Then, book 21, I read The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict, which is in my Christmassy reading vlog that I posted a few days ago. I won't really say too much about it. It is about a girl who receives a letter inviting her to her childhood home mansion thing to partake in a Christmas game, and at the end of the game her mum's murderer will be revealed, basically, is the gist of it. It was fun. I'm not saying anything more, but it was fun. If you want to know my thoughts, go check out the vlog, maybe. I gave it 3.5 stars, so I will tell you that much. Then I read 'Twas the Night Shift Before Christmas by Adam Kay, also in that vlog. It was a little set of diary entries from Adam Kay about working for the NHS over the Christmas period. It was funny, it was good. It was a bit sad. I gave it 4 stars. That's all you're getting. Check out the vlog. Then I read Secret Santa by Adam Schaffer, or Schaffer, I still haven't looked up how to say his name, which is a Christmas horror story about a girl who goes to work for this fancy publishing agency and gets a surprise present in the Secret Santa, and things devolve from there. It was pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars. Again, vlog. Then I read The Christmas Guest by Peter Swanson. This one was not a fun time. It made me cross. If you want to watch me rant about it. It is about a girl who is invited to spend Christmas at her friend's fancy manor. When she gets there, people in the pub act all weird because it turns out she looks exactly the same as a girl who was murdered recently, and they think the friend's brother did it. And that's it. I have lots of thoughts, few of them good. If you're interested in any of these four Christmassy books that I've just talked about, they're all in the vlog. I would really like it if you were to watch it. I gave The Christmas Guest 2.5 stars because apparently I was feeling very generous. I'm not saying anymore. It wasn't that bad. If you like Peter Swanson, you may well enjoy it, but I apparently don't. Things picked up a little bit after that with book 25, which is Reality and Other Stories by John Lanchester. This is a short story collection about haunted and creepy technology. There's a haunted audiobook, kind of. There's a reality TV show. There's a family learning to cope without their robotic assistant. There's loads of stuff. It's another one that is Black Mirror-esque, which is a fair description. I enjoyed it. None of the stories were bad. They were all at least like okay, from okay to great. My favourite story was called Which One of These Would You Like? And I can't say much because it feels like anything feels like a spoiler, but you're following a man who is in a room and people come in and ask him to make a choice between two things, and then once he does, they ask him to make a choice between another two things or several things, and then later on you realise what's going on, and I just really liked it. I had a really fun time. It was a quick read. There's only maybe like 8 stories. Highly recommend. Okay, we're getting there. Book 26 was Along the Saltwise Sea by A. Deborah Baker, who is also Shauna Maguire, because she needs yet another pseudonym. It is the second book in the Up and Under, Over and Under, whatever that series is called. The first one was Over the Woodward Wall, which is apparently a fictional set of children's stories from within the Middle Game book, which I haven't read. I love the Wayward Children series so much that I wanted to read another set of novellas by this author, but I don't think they're for me. There's nothing wrong with it, I just didn't get on with it that much. We follow a couple of kids who, in the first book, they climbed over a wall, stuff happened, they had adventures, and now they're going to have more adventures. It's fine. I think as a kid I would probably enjoy it, but I think I wanted it to have the darker themes that the Wayward Children series have, and it did not deliver in that aspect. But it was fine. I gave it 2.5 stars. Book 27 is One of Us is Dead by Geneva Rose. In this we follow a woman who owns a upscale beauty salon and her group of like fancy rich ladies who are her clientele. Someone ends up dead, and we are seeing the hairdresser in the present day telling the detective what happened, and then we're having flashbacks to the run up to the murder. It was good. There's something enjoyable about watching rich people and their problems. That's all I really have to say. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a really fun time. That's it. That'll do. I'm running out of steam at this point. Book 28 was The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. This is a retelling of a H.P. Lovecraft story. I can't even remember which one now. I'll put the title here. I don't know how close of a retelling this is because I haven't read the original, same as The Crane Husband. I've heard that this focuses more on characters that were barely in the original, because H.P. Lovecraft was a bit of a racist apparently back in the day. So we follow Tommy something or other, and he is sort of a wheeler and dealer. I imagine him as a bit of as a Del Boy kind of. That's probably not what they were going for. And he would buy rare things and sell them to rich people. So he buys this creepy book that is very dangerous, and he sells it to this rich old lady. He tears the last page out though so that she can't use the book, and then things progress. And there's a perspective shift at some point, and I enjoyed the first half. I didn't really care about the second half, but I understand it, but I didn't care that much. I gave this one 2.5 stars as well. Pretty disappointed. I know everyone loved this. I think just cosmic horror maybe isn't for me, so I'll have to try some more. Everyone else seems to love this, so I would recommend you give it a try if it sounds interesting to you. Maybe if I'd read the original I would have gotten something more out of it, I don't know. Okay, last two are pretty good. Book 29 was Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valenti. This is another novella, of course, in which we follow a woman who is in a relationship with her husband, obviously, and she... I don't really want to say anything. She keeps saying, I was made for him, but the house doesn't fit her. Like, she's too small. Like, she can barely, like, her feet don't touch the floor when she's sat on the chairs. She can hardly get out of the bed, and the stairs are so huge. It takes her like half an hour to climb down them or something. It's just, things are off. It's unsettling. And I just was hooked from the beginning. I couldn't wait to see what was going on. And when it got to the twist, it was so weird, but really good. It worked for me. I can see why people wouldn't like it, but I was a fan. I liked it. I thought it was great. I gave it 5 stars. Highly, highly recommend. And then finally, I read This Is Not a Pity Memoir by Abby Morgan. I had no clue who Abby Morgan was before reading this, but she is a writer of a lot of TV shows. I can't remember which, but I know she co-wrote Shame, the movie, with Michael Fassbender, which I adore, so that made me even more interested in her story. It's about a woman, it's a memoir, but not a pity memoir, about a woman who, her husband had MS, and he had a funny turn. That is so not the right terminology, and he ends up, what is it he's got? She said the name of the thing so many times in the book. Anti-something encephalitis. Some sort of brain thing that makes him not act like him anymore. He's not himself. And he's in a coma for ages, and it's just about her life and her coping with carrying on and raising her children, and him not recognising her, and it was just so interesting and obviously awful for her. I really enjoyed it. I don't read that many memoirs, but most of the ones I have read I've given pretty high ratings, so maybe I should. But I gave it a 4 star. It feels weird to rate someone's life. It's more that I'm rating the way it was presented to us. The last sort of quarter maybe I found less interesting. So mean. But the book was really good. It was insightful. I like medical stuff anyway, so yeah, I recommend you give it a go. And that is all of the books I read in November. I do not recommend anyone read 30 books in 30 days because I got so burnt out. I was so bored of reading. I'm glad the last few books picked up for me, because there was a couple of sections where everything was like 2.5 or 3 stars, and it's just made me want to give up. But also I'm stubborn and I wasn't going to give up. We also had a bit of a family emergency a few days before the end of November, which did not make it easy to carry on reading, but I blooming did it. And that's why this video is a little bit delayed, because it's now, we're already a couple of days into December and I'm only just filming this. If you've read any of these, let me know what you think. If you have any books similar to either Take It Back by Kia Abdullah or Come For Me With Apples by Catherine M. Valenti, let me know. Just any horror novellas in general, well, not necessarily horror, but just weird or creepy or horror novellas. That is kind of my main thing at the moment. That's what I'm enjoying. And any really like dark and gripping courtroom dramas, I guess. That's the thing I'm going to have to check out now. Have you ever done a stupid challenge like this? If so, did you also get burnt out? Because I do not have any desire to really read at the moment. I am listening to an audiobook very slowly, but yeah, I think I need a few days off reading. I'm gonna go play a video game or something. Thank you so much if you've watched this entire video, because it seems pretty long. And just thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one.